Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Huddle, the Review.com's weekly sports show during high school football and basketball seasons. I'm Executive Editor Rob Toter of the Alliance Review, joined as always by our football expert and sports editor, Mike Brown. And Mike, today let's start with our season preview. And I guess the best place to start is the Northeastern Buckeye Conference. The Louisville Leopards coming off a 10-0 season, and they've done a little bit more than rebuild.
They sure have. You know, they lost a lot of seniors. I think he lost 30 seniors from that team that went undefeated in the regular season last year, Rob. But the thing about Louisville, like you said, they reload. They really do. They've got a junior class right now that is just one of the best junior classes they've had in a long, long time. So I know on one hand they're saying, well, we lost so much, but Louisville's Louisville football, and I know that they're going to be the team to beat without question again.
And as we tape this, both scrimmages have been played, and they defeated Orville rather handily last Friday night. Yeah. So what do you see? I mean, the Leopards are your favorite for the NBC?
I think this is one of those years where Louisville is on a tier. It's kind of like Mount Union in the OAC football. You put Mount Union up here, and then you put everybody else below that, and they kind of battle it out. And in certain years, one team can jump up and give them a battle. But I think it may be that kind of year because, you know, Alliance is young. Minerva doesn't have great numbers. West Branch has a lot of kids coming back, but that was a 1-9 team, so you don't know how they're going to react. Marlington lost a lot of good skill. They've got some decent skill coming back, but lost a lot of good skill. So it's kind of a mixed bag with the rest of the league this year.
Well, let's talk about the Aviators. As you said, they lose all their skill players. They have to replace all their skill guys. Yeah. But their line is back.
Right, and that's a big plus. They've got a lot of linemen back, and the thing about Alliance always has great skill. The thing about their skill this year is it's young skill. It's mostly freshmen from that really good 8th grade team they had a year ago, and I think these kids are going to play sooner than later because of the situation, because the Alliance lost a lot of skill, and here comes a really good class of freshmen, and I think they'll fast-track those kids. I really do.
Now, the Aviators start out with Southeast at home on Friday night. And then they host Canfield, which I think is going to be a good test for our Alliance, because Canfield more often than not has a pretty representative football team. And then they go to Barberton, and for me, that's the telltale game, I think. I think Canfield might be a little too strong for the Aviators, but it is at Alliance. But that game at Barberton, I think, it's a team in a similar situation as the Aviators, and I think the rest of their season, we're going to get a really good gauge from those 3 non-conference games.
Right. I tell you what, you know, with a basically inexperienced skill team, if Alliance can get off to like a 2-1 start, I think that's really good for them, because then, especially with a young team, when you start to win early, you gain confidence and you go from there. If you have a young team and they lose early, then it can go the other way. So hopefully it'll go the good way for Alliance, where they win and get things going there. So
yeah. Now you talk about a young team that didn't have a good start, and that was West Branch last year, and we saw how it finished. They went 1-9 overall, so where do the Warriors have a lot of skill, or a lot of players back?
Right.
But again, from a 1-9 team, and I think a good start for them is going to be key as well.
Oh, without question. You know, they've got more starters back than anybody in the league. 18 starters come back. They only lost 4 seniors off that team last year. They went 1-9. And really, when you think of West Branch football, you think of the tradition and all the great things they've been able to establish over the years. And I think they're going to be much better. But I agree with you, Rob. I think the independent part of their schedule is paramount for them. They need to beat Crestwood in their opener on Friday night. And then they go to Crestview. Crestview lost its quarterback, its top 2 running backs, its top 2 receivers for the year. So there might be a chance to steal one on the road there too. And then they come home to the Niles McKinley Red Dragons. So, you know, if West Branch get off to a 2-1 start in there, I think that would really help them, especially in Division 4, where 6-4 might get you in that Division 4 region they're in.
Okay. The Marlington Dukes lost a lot of skill players. They also lost their head coach, so they're really rebuilding.
Yeah, Ed Miley did such a great job at Marlington. When I think about all the great head coaches we've had in our areas over the years, he did one of the most remarkable jobs, because he took a program that had a lot of talent. I always thought Marlington had great talent, but for some reason never won consistently until Ed Miley got there. Ed Miley changed that mindset at Marlington, and hopefully, even though he's gone now, I'm hoping that confidence in the Dukes will continue, because they've got the talent to win any year at Marlington. I mean, you look at Marlington in all sports, they've got great athletes at Marlington. And I think they can continue that on if they believe they can do it. Now, again, Marlington's like Alliance. They lost a ton of skill kids. And they're moving Chris Andrews, who was the great receiver, to quarterback this year. Chris Andrews is a great athlete, and I think they'll build around him. They've got a lot of good linemen coming back at Marlington, kind of like Alliance's situation. So that's kind of the quandary they're in, and these early games will tell a lot.
Okay. The other 4 teams in the NBC, Minerva, Canton South, Carrollton, Salem, kind of in the middle there in the mix.
Right. Minerva's a team, they don't have great numbers. I think at last count, I counted 32 kids on that team. Now, you're starting the season with 32 kids. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of guys playing both ways, and you better stay healthy. But the kids they have at Minerva, Coach Hall has at Minerva, those are good kids. In fact, I think they have one of the best players in the league in running back Dalton Hartshorn, who led them to some wins last year. They almost made the playoffs last year, just missed it. And a lot of those kids come back, led by Dalton Hartshorn, and I think Minerva could be a real factor in this NBC race.
Very good. Let's turn our attention to the Inter-Tri-County League in Tier 2, where Sebring and Western Reserve are going to compete. Western Reserve defending league champions and made a great run in the playoffs last year. Trojans in the middle of the pack there, and where do you see both of those teams?
I highly improved with Sebring this year. You know, Coach Springer has a lot of those kids back. They've got Nick Ryan back, their top tackler from last year. That's going to really help their defense. I think Sebring's going to be able to throw the ball this year. Last year, I believe Sebring only threw for it was something like 300 yards the entire season. You can't throw for 30 yards a game and win a whole lot of football games because teams will sit on your running game. They won't be able to do that this year. It's a different situation. They have another quarterback in there. They can throw the ball. I think they'll be balanced offensively. I see Sebring being a real factor. And with Western Reserve, Rob, Andy Hakes just got it rolling out there. They've made the playoffs the last 6 years. They did lose some good players. They lost quarterback Allison. They'll have some younger players in some of the skill spots, but they've got a huge line again, and I just see them being probably the best team in the area as far as staying power in the playoffs down the road. I could see them being the last team standing again.
One of Western Reserve's non-league games is against South Range. I know a lot of our friends over in the Youngstown area are looking forward to that game because they think South Range is a team to beat in the upper tier.
Absolutely. I think that'll be a great early season test for Western Reserve to see where they're at. If they could knock them off, wow. They could do anything again. They've got, 2 of the last 3 years they've been in the state semifinals. That's how good that program is.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's make sure, we want to remind everybody to check out the Alliance Review all throughout the football season. We'll have previews of the big games throughout the week. We'll have coverage of all the games on Saturday. And, of course, the Review.com will have coverage as well, and we'll have videos posted on the Review.com as well. Also, make sure you check out the Alliance Review for the Pigskin Pigs competition, where you can win some great prizes there. And then later in the season, we'll pick up the Gridiron Guesswork again, defending champion Mike Brown, 2012 champion myself, and we'll battle it out along with the other staff members from the Alliance Review as well. So we invite you to check out the Alliance Review and the Review.com for the best in high school football coverage all season long. If we see this at a game, make sure you stop by and say hello. For Mike Brown, this is Rob Toder. We'll talk to you next week.